Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you had a good weekend. Today we're going to be talking about some historical thinking skills, and our keywords today are going to be bias, opinion, and propaganda. And this is really, really important when you connect this to what's happening in your ELA class, where you guys are talking about the violence and everything that's going on in Ferguson, in New York, and all the protests across the country. Thinking about the way that those are portrayed in the media is super important. So we're going to look at how that works in a historical context. So first, you've got a couple of vocabulary words. The first one is bias, and bias simply means prejudice. It means somebody has a predisposed idea towards something, and so they're biased for that idea. The second one is propaganda, and propaganda is media that tries to get you to think a certain way. So maybe you're looking at a picture and the picture is making you think that somebody is a violent type of person without you actually knowing anything about that person. That's going to be propaganda. We're going to see some examples of that. So how do you find bias? Is by looking for opinions in an article, or looking for opinions in the way a picture is portrayed, or the way that propaganda is portrayed. All of those things will show us that there is bias. And we're going to look at some of these. So the first one I want you to check out. These ones are kind of a fun way of checking it out. So go to the first link, bit.ly/DTA Bart bias, and you're going to watch a clip of a Simpsons episode. You're going to see how he is totally biased in his testimony. Next, go to DTA Burns bias, and you're going to watch the other side of that testimony, somebody who had a bias the complete opposite way, and see how those two compare. This is just a fun way of checking out the way bias works in our portrayal of events. All right. So when we're looking at political cartoons, propaganda, the way that people portray things, the first thing you want to do is to look for symbols. And symbols are images that are going to make you think of a certain thing. So, for example, this guy right here, you'll often see him in a lot of cartoons. He's got like these long striped pants. He's got the American hat. He's got that coat with the stars on it, all that kind of stuff. That's Uncle Sam, and he's a symbol for the United States. So if Uncle Sam is doing something, that means that the United States is that thing. Second thing you want to do is ask yourself what the cartoon is trying to get you to think. And sometimes it's a little hard, but it helps to know some of the symbols in order to understand what that cartoon is showing. So first, let's look at some of these symbols. Whenever you see an elephant, that's going to mean Republican. Whenever you see a donkey, that's going to mean the Democrat Party. So like here, you've got the elephant here, you've got the donkey there. What's this cartoon trying to get you to think? So here's some other symbols you've got. This lady up here is the symbol for justice. She holds the a balance thing to show that justice is always balanced. It's fair. There's no one side that's heavier than another. And a lot of times they'll put something on one side that weighs it down to show that that person has more power than the other side of the balance. She also carries a sword, which shows that if somebody is doing something wrong, justice has the power of force to stop that person. And last, she's blindfolded, and all the time you'll see this picture, she'll always have a blindfold on because she's supposed to be to not see the person that's doing it. She just dispenses justice based on what they do, not based on who they are. And then the last one is the Statue of Liberty here, and that stands for liberty. It could stand for freedom. It could stand for America. It could stand for New York City. It stands for all kinds of things, but they're almost always associated with those words that you think of for America. So check out these two. This was one used this is a political cartoon used to help elect President Obama in 2008 and then again in 2012. And then this is a parody that somebody made of it. So see if you can see the symbol and see what they're trying to get you to think. Here's another one. This is a cartoon made in 2003 when the United States was going to war against Iraq. So, what are they trying to get you to think about America? What symbols do you see in this cartoon? This one I think is super cool because it's one that you see in a whole bunch of different ideas, not just in artwork, but also in the way that people talk about these events. There are lots and lots of symbols in this picture, and this is of Columbus arriving in America. So the person who painted this wasn't actually there, but they did have all these preconceived biases and ideas about what happened at this event. So you can look, you've got the person in the middle, you know that he's the most important because he's in the middle. Right behind him, though, is this symbol right here. What do you think that symbol stands for him? Then check out the way that the people are portrayed. Look at Columbus and his men. They're standing tall. They're the ones in fancy clothes. They're the ones with swords. They're the ones with the big ships behind them. These are the people who are the focus of the painting. And then you have on this side, you've got people crouched down. You've got them offering him gifts. Clearly, there's somebody in power here, and there's somebody who doesn't have power here. So, what is the author trying to show with each of these symbols? Then that's the idea that people were trying to get across with artwork like this, was that Columbus was this really powerful person, that he was better than the Native Americans that he encountered in America when he arrived. And that idea, because of propaganda like this, spread the opinion and the bias about white people being better than all the people that they encountered. Here's another one that shows pretty much the same thing. This is of Manifest Destiny. We saw this cartoon last year, or this painting last year when we talked about Manifest Destiny. You've got the symbol right here, the angel in the middle as the white person, bringing progress to the West. And she's chasing away the Native Americans. You could just as well put some Mexicans in there that she was chasing away too, because that was what people thought. And they thought of white people, they thought of whiteness as progress, as something that was enlightening. You can see how this side is much lighter than this side because they're bringing that light with them. She's carrying a Bible or a book showing that she's bringing religion and education, and you can see the trains and the telephone lines for technology and all of these things going to the West. This one's a little more difficult. You've got here, a lot of times you'll see gas and the gas pump, and one of the symbols that you see in political cartoons about gas are big cars, and the big car is going to stand for how much oil and how much gas Americans use unnecessarily, saying that they don't need to use all this gas, but they do because they have these giant cars and they're wasting things. So you can see who this cartoon is saying that the US is getting its money from to pay for these big cars and all the gas they use. This is a really old one, but I think it's really clear. This is one we saw last year as well at the end of the year, after the Civil War, when there were first African Americans starting to get elected. What do you think this political cartoonist was trying to say about the Republican Party at the time? This is another one we saw last year. Super cool, super cool. This is going to be on your homework this week. Paul Revere used political cartoons like crazy to try to get his point across. This one is about the Boston Massacre. So he called it the Bloody Massacre. And check out the symbolism of how these people were being treated by the British. Who is powerful here? Who is killing people, innocent people, for no reason? He also used, this is another one that actually came on a separate day. These are the coffins of the people who died at the Boston Massacre. So by using those coffins, what is he trying to show? So there are some other things that you're going to do to check out how he used propaganda to answer the question, to convince people of their opinion. So what you're going to do is restate the question on this page and then use evidence to support your answer. And then your answer is going to pop up on the front screen and everybody will be able to read the different ones. All right, tomorrow we're going to talk about bias and propaganda in a bunch of different historical contexts. It's going to be a lot more reading than today. Today was a lot of cartoons, but get excited for what we're going to be doing tomorrow.